Hey, this is the simplest way to install an AI system that's able to automate all of your business operations, from marketing to workflows to sales. In this video, I'm going to cover what OpenClaw is and why it matters, and how to set it up right. This is a high-level guide for business owners who want to understand how to get real value from the technology without getting lost into all of the technical details. I've been using OpenClaw every day for the past month, and I run a business that's focused on AI and automation. Plus, I have a background in software infrastructure, so deploying and managing this kind of services at scale is what I do every day. By the end of this video, you'll be able to understand the setup options that are available and which one makes the most sense for your business. The goal here isn't just installation, it's clarity. I want you to leave with a clear picture of what's possible and how to choose the right path for your company. I'll start slow and build each concept step by step so that we can stay aligned throughout the whole way. Today, we're going to cover what OpenClaw is, what it can do for your business, the main ways to setting it up, and a step-by-step walkthrough to how to get it deployed. So I'm going to jump straight in. So if you have never seen, this is the OpenClaw logo. This is their website, openclaw.ai. And basically, what they preach is that it's an AI that actually does things. It clears your inbox, sends email, manages your calendar, and checks you in for flights, or from WhatsApp, Telegram, or any chat app you already use. So this was an app that initially was thought of like a personal AI that you could use, but there's a ton of business use cases that can be leveraged that are really interesting. That's going to be the focus of this video today. Cool. So how OpenClaw works. This is on a high level and just to understand the difference from what we already had. OpenClaw is nothing more than an application that's constantly running that gives us access to agent, skills, code runner, browser, and some other tools. The difference between what we're used to with ChatGPT or some of those other tools is first that it's always on and remembers everything that we told it about us. So it's building a profile of us over time, and it is able to use that knowledge for every task that we give it. It's able to train and improve itself over time. So if there's a type of behavior that we don't like or something that we did like that we want to reinforce, we can tell it to do so and it will adapt and continue to do that over time. And also, it's proactive in doing things for us. And the way you can use OpenClaw is from your computer or your phone. Also, a big difference from traditional chat apps is that we're not starting from scratch on every new conversation. It will always keep, if we do a good job initially at loading up its context, it will keep that in mind and it will become really handy for every future task that we assign it. Cool. OpenClaw is nothing more than an app, so you could install it on your main computer, but it's risky. By installing it on your main computer, you'd be giving it access to your personal data, your client data, admin accesses that you have, your email, etc. So we don't want to install an application that is so powerful in doing so many things on our main computer that we use for work. So the idea here is to treat the AI like if we would be hiring a new employee. So the goal is to give it an isolated ecosystem where it can do all of its work and not mess up everything that we have going on for ourselves. So there are different ways that we could set up OpenClaw. We could get it a dedicated computer, a different one to the one that we use, such as if it will be an employee, or we could get it BPS, which is a computer that we rent from a provider on the cloud. Both are useful options. The BPS is what I'm going to show you today because it's really quick to get started initially. Also, it's a very cost-effective option. We can start with a really small server and scale as needed. Dedicated computer, it's also good. It's what I've been doing now. I got a special computer just for my agent to work in. Um, both options are very valid. The VPS server just makes it quick to set up, and easy to scale as we require more resources. So the steps we're gonna cover today. First, we're gonna get a VPS server on Hostinger. Then we're gonna install Tailscale. I'm gonna get into in a second what Tailscale is. We're gonna lock down the firewall. This is just security practices, and then we're gonna install OpenClaw and connect from our client. These steps right here are important because basically when we are renting a server from a cloud provider, it's for us to be able to use that server, we the server needs to be open so that we are able to start a conversation with the server and install our applications and do whatever we need inside of the server. So basically there's this thing called a firewall on the server that will be open by default when we rent the VPS, and this allows OpenClaw to start its conversation with like external services such as Gmail, Cal, etc. And also us, we're able to access the VPS. This is good initially so that we are able to do the setup, but it's not the best in terms of security long term, because we want to make sure that just like us, we were able to connect here. Some other person over here, let's call this person John. If we keep our VPS server open like that, John will also be able to start a conversation with our VPS. And we don't want this because this will have all of our private data, and it's something that we want to be sure that it's very secure. So what we're going to do to secure our VPS is install something called Tailscale, which works in the following way. Our our VPS, instead of keeping our firewall open like we had it here, we're gonna lock it down, our firewall. And the only type of traffic that will be available to pass through the firewall will be traffic starting from OpenClaw out into other services. The traffic that returns from those services, it's fine because it was initiated by an internal service of the VPS, which is OpenClaw in this case. That will be allowed, and any external um, connection coming from the outside will only be allowed from the server called Tailscale. So basically, us, we create a connection into Tailscale, and only Tailscale will forward the traffic into our VPS and back to us. So there is no way of reaching the VPS directly. So this server isn't even like discoverable by other people. So John right here won't be able to do the communication like this because the firewall here will block it. Cool. So let's get into setting up our own VPS for OpenClaw. So the first step is going into hostinger.com. I'm gonna leave a link down in the video of the in the description of the video. And Hostinger is a provider for hosting services. Really easy to get started with Hostinger compared to something like AWS. Also works to use something like AWS, but I'm gonna show you this today that it's really easy to get started. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go first to hostinger.com by using the link in the description. And here you're gonna create an account by going into My Account. And after you create your account, you'll be greeted with a screen just like this. And what you're gonna do is go into VPS. VPS again stands for Virtual Private Server, and we're gonna create a new VPS plan. Yours will be empty here. I already have a few servers running, so that's why you see this here, but you're gonna have this list empty. So just go into get a new VPS. Here, there are two options. This is for gaming purposes, which is not what we're doing. So click on the first one, KVM VPS. And here you're going to choose the server that has the best latency. Latency is how much time it takes from where you're at right now to communicate to the server and back. In this case, I'm currently based in Buenos Aires, Argentina. So Brazil is the closest and the fastest. But if you're in the US, it's probably one of these locations that you're gonna have the best latency for. So just select the one that you have the best latency and continue. And on this screen, you're gonna select the operating system. This is like the Windows or Mac OS that runs on the server. Servers usually run with Linux operating systems. No need to worry about that too much. We're just gonna select Ubuntu here, and here select the latest LTS version. LTS it stands for long-term support, so it's the most stable version. Ubuntu 24. Select and continue. On this step, you need to create a root password. This is important that it's a secure password, so you can just click here and generate a secure password by clicking here and open the eye icon and copy this password and save it. And here you need to select if you want any additional features. We're going to secure the server ourselves, so no need to worry about this. It's better not to like install things that we're not going to use. So we're going to uncheck the malware scanner. Daily auto backups, it's useful. It's something that on every day will back up the server. So in case there's any issue, we can recover from that backup. I suggest you do add this. It's an additional price, but it's worth it to have that backup. There are other ways of setting up the backup too that we're gonna cover in some other videos in the future. So there's also that possibility. Click next. And here you are gonna select the server size that you need. I recommend that you go at least with the KVM 2 for this purpose. KVM 4 it will be the best. It's a really good server. But if you're just starting out, you can start with a KVM 2 server by continuing here, and you'll be able to check out. Also, Hostinger will have their discounts applied on the 12 months or 24-month contracts. So you should go for the 12 months so that I can get that discount without paying 2 years in advance. Cool. I already set up my server, so I'll just go back to the main screen. Cool. After we have our server set up, this is gonna start the connection with our server, a remote connection with our server, and we're gonna make sure that we install Tailscale, which would allow us to block all of this connections from anyone else other than us. Before that, make sure to go into tailscale.com and go into get started. And here you're gonna create an account. I just created mine right here, uh, but you'll be guided through some steps to connect your account. You'll get to a screen just like this. If you're on Mac OS, make sure to download the app from the Mac App Store. That's easiest. It works really well, and then you get your Tailscale right here on the menu bar that you could use to connect. And if you're on Windows, it's a similar process. Just download Tailscale from the URL. After you install Tailscale for your operating system, what we're going to do now is install it on the remote server. So click here where it says Linux, and we're going to copy this command right here. Go back into our terminal and run it. This is going to take a second. In the meantime, let's open the installation guide. We should also run this command so everything on the server gets updated. Copy that command over here. Some outdated packages will be there by default when the server gets set up. And we're not going to run this command because we just installed Tailscale the other way. And we're going to run this command sudo tailscale up to get Tailscale running on the server. Cool. That worked. Now we need to go into this URL to finish the connection process between the server and our Tailscale account. We continue here. And after we sign in, we'll be asked if we want to connect the server. We click connect and login successful. And if we go back now to the previous screen, we see that we have both servers, both instances connected, our main machine, our computer in this case, and the server. And this is a command that we can run from our terminal to confirm that we have correct communication between our computer and the server. All right, so at this point, we have successfully established a connection between our computer and the BPS through Tailscale, but we didn't block anything else from connecting without going through Tailscale. So that's what we're gonna focus on now. To do this, we're gonna run a series of commands that I'm gonna leave down in the video description. So the first command that we wanna run is to reset the firewall. So let's run this from the terminal. Now it's important, since we're gonna lock down our BPS, this we need to move from the Hostinger connection into connecting through Tailscale. This doesn't go through Tailscale, this connection here, and we're gonna block any other connection. So it's important that we're connected through Tailscale. So to do that, we're gonna go here where we have our machines on Tailscale. Just copy the IP address of this is the Tailscale internal IP address of our server. We're gonna go to our terminal and we're gonna go connect to it by doing SSH root add and the IP from Tailscale. Only one time. There we go. Now we're gonna get asked for our password. I'm gonna copy that real quick. So we're gonna paste our password. And now we're connected to our server. The way we can tell that we're connected to our server, by the way, is you can see initially when we weren't, we just see this. This is like the root of our computer, our user. And now you see changes into root add, and that's the name of the server. That means that every command we run now runs directly on the server. So we're gonna run our first command right here. We need to accept this. Cool. Then we need to run our second command. This will deny incoming connections. All right. And now we're gonna allow outgoing outgoing connections from this would be OpenClaw communicating to the outside world. And now we need to allow Tailscale traffic. This allow the Tailscale traffic. We need to allow the loopback in order for everything to work. Cool. And now we're gonna enable the firewall. Up until now it wasn't enabled, so we're gonna get that enabled. This may disrupt ongoing connections. Now it's active. And now we're gonna get the status. And we can confirm anywhere on Tailscale is allowed in, anywhere on loopback is allowed in, and anywhere on Tailscale, this is the same thing, different protocol. This is regular IPv4 and this is IPv6, but you see nothing else is allowed in except for this two. So at this point, SSH works over Tailscale, public IP SSH is blocked, and any service not on Tailscale is unreachable. Now what we're gonna do is we blocked it at the BPS level. So on the software of our server, we said block disconnections. What we're gonna do, which is like a layer down below, is we're gonna block it from the firewall of Hostinger. This sits outside of our server. It's just an extra layer of security. Only blocking it on our server would still make it secure. This is an additional layer just to make it extra secure. So we're gonna go into security, firewall, and we need to only enable this rule. I'm going to show you how this rule works. I already had this rule created for other servers. So basically, this rule will accept SSH traffic, SSH traffic on port 22, accept UDP on the UDP port, and drop any other type of connection. This will only this aligns with our Tailscale usage of our server. Cool. So, and now we can run this to enable automatic security upgrades on our server. Also very useful. Cool. That's enabled. And now we can confirm that everything works by trying to SSH into our server with the first IP that we had, this, and this shouldn't work. This will stay stuck because it will eventually time out because no one except Tailscale is allowed into our server, which is good. The server IP, remind you, it's different from this. This is the public one, the internal one from Tailscale, which, by the way, you can confirm like we're connected to Tailscale by checking here and seeing that we're connected. This is the Tailscale server IP. So if we do SSH through the Tailscale IP instead of the public one from the server, this works and asks for our password again. We don't need to do this, but cool. This now enabled security on our VPS, and what we're gonna do is get set up with OpenClaw now. All right, so to set up OpenClaw on our server, we're gonna SSH into our server once again, use our password, and now we're connected back to our server. And we're gonna follow the installment instructions that we have on OpenClaw. By the way, we're gonna first install Node on our server so that we can do this installation pathway that it's the best one to enable automatic updates and stuff. So let's first get us set up with Node. Let's update everything. apt-get is the package manager for Ubuntu, which it's just means it's the service we use to download other apps. And now we're gonna install Node. I think it's Node.js that we need to do. Yes, it's Node.js. Cool, this will take a second. And after this is installed, we need to install pnpm. pnpm is a more modern version of npm, which is the package manager of Node. So we need to run this command right here, these two commands. We're going to do that after Node gets installed. Cool, now Node was installed. What we're going to do next is install npm. Cool, and now with npm installed, we're gonna install pnpm, a slightly more modern package manager than npm. Now we would be able to install OpenClaw finally. All right, now we're able to install PNPM. We needed to source the newly installed PNPM. Now this is installing OpenClaw, and after OpenClaw is installed, we're able to start with the onboarding. The good stuff, finally. Cool. And now OpenClaw on board. All right, we were having some errors because the version of Node that comes with this version of Linux, that it's a little bit old because it's the long-term stable version, is too old for OpenClaw. So we're gonna just install a more modern version of Node, and after that, we're gonna enable PNPM. There we go. Now PNPM is active, latest version, and let's do add OpenClaw again. Cool. Now we're inside the OpenClaw onboarding process. Let me make this bigger so we can follow. All right, it's there's a security warning. This is fine. We're gonna do the quick start so we can get started as soon as possible. We're gonna do Anthropic for our model provider. And I have an Anthropic subscription, so I'm gonna use my subscription with OpenClaw. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do Anthropic token. And to connect the Anthropic token, we need to run this command. If you're on the subscription, you can do the same command. Otherwise, if you're not on the subscription, you can use the API token way and just generate an API key. You'll be billed per usage rather than a base flat fee with the subscription. The subscription turns out to be way more price effective overall. Cool. So I'm gonna authorize this now, and we get our token. Go back, configure our token. For default model, I'm just going to go with Sonnet 4.6. It's the model that came out recently, and I've been finding it's really good in terms of balance between Opus. Opus consumes way more tokens. Not way more tokens. It consumes way more of the quota of the subscription than Sonnet. So I use Sonnet for general tasks, and when something requires like analysis or something that requires extra thinking power, I go for Opus on those situations. So I'm just going to go ahead with Sonnet here. And now um, we're getting asked where we want to connect it. I recommend if it's the first time setting it up and if you have a Telegram, Telegram is the easiest. You can select here Telegram and it will prompt you to go through the um, to create a bot on Telegram and then make that bot connected with your OpenClaw so that you can get started really fast. It's not the best in terms of workflow because you only get one chat, which gets really messy really fast when you're running multiple systems on the same thread. So the best I've found for that is either using Slack, which is what I use because I use Slack for my business use cases, or I've seen people also use Discord for that. That turns out to be also useful for that. In this case, I'm just gonna quickly skip through this because I don't need to configure this right now. We don't need a Google Places API, non-Gemini API, no Notion API. All of this, by the way, if we ever need those, the agent will ask us, hey, I'm trying to search on Google Maps. I need a Google Maps API. Can you get this for me? So that's also good. The agent is proactive, so we don't need to worry about all of the configuration steps right away. So we're gonna go with no for these. These are useful extra configs, all of them. I recommend you do all of them. This allows to run a specific boot command that configures our agent. This adds some additional workspace bootstrap files. And this logs all command and events to a centralized file that's useful for debugging. And session memory saves allows us to start new sessions by running some specific commands like new and reset. We're gonna install this too. Now the gateway service is installed. And that's a full setup. Now we're gonna start using OpenClaw. So the easiest way to do so is by clicking here, Hatch into UI. This will allow us to interact with OpenClaw from this UI right here. Another option is on the web UI, but initially I recommend you do this because it's a little bit faster. So go ahead and do this now, and you will see that it starts with its first request. And now this step is really, really important. Make sure you give it as much context as possible. Also, you can cancel this session, connect it on your Telegram, and send a voice message to do so, which is sometimes faster. But every piece of content that you give it of your business is things that will allow it to be more proactive, to be more strategic, and recommend things that you should be doing. So make sure to take a moment to give full context of who you are, where you're at with your business, and where you're trying to be at. I'm just gonna close this for now, and that concludes our full OpenClaw setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, that you find this useful, and let me know down in the comments if you have any follow-up question. Happy to do any follow-up video on OpenClaw. I'll be probably doing a ton more of OpenClaw focused videos on the coming weeks because it's a tool that's helping us a lot in our business. So, all right, see you on the next one.